Hey, happy Tuesday. Tuesday, April the 9th, into the, already heading in. So I guess I'm live now, 3 seconds in. Happy Tuesday. Spirit gave me a nudge to do this. And there's so much going on. And so many reactions, and so much polarization, division, um, saying everything's the opposite of what it is, and nothing's the opposite of what it is, just to kind of bring it back to neutral. Because you can kind of see the worlds that people are living in. And it's so interesting. So very interesting. So it's Tuesday. I just came back from a walk in the woods. And it's my favorite. I never get bored walking in there. I talked to a neighbor and she said she gets bored walking in the neighborhood. And I said, I get bored walking in city streets, suburb streets as well. And with nature, it's never, ever boring. I'm never bored in there. There's always something to hear, something to see, dogs to pat, people to say hello to or chat to. So today was one of those days, and I ran into, I guess, okay, we're going there. I ran into a young man taking photographs. Interesting to see where we're going to go with this one. He had a tripod and he had a big telephoto lens, and I said, I said, what have you spotted? What are you after? And so he could hear a bird, which I didn't hear, but he could hear a bird, and that's what he was looking to find, that bird. So he said that he really liked these woods. He'd never been in here before. I said, how long have you been doing photographs? And he said, just a year. He said, it's been my solace, my grounding, and my healing after being 20 years as a social worker, and left that. And I didn't, someone else came along. I never got to follow up with that. But obviously it was something, he was exhausted maybe, lovely young man, probably, empath, probably. It was just too much for him after a while. So then he joined a friend at a wedding who was taking photographs at a wedding just cause, something to do, and then he got into photography, and now it's birds primarily, and becoming acquainted with them. So this is what I mean when you go into the woods, just to hear the bits of life stories, a chance to talk to people, to see birds. There was a little hummingbird that was, you could hear it, and he said that hummingbird, we're near something, and he or she doesn't like us being near that, and so creating a bit of a fuss over that. So hummingbirds are all about the sweetness in life, right? But hummingbirds are feisty little things, aren't they? They will fight each other at a feeder. They can be quite nasty. And yet here they are, these delicate little tiny things, their wings make big noise for the size of it. You can hear a hummingbird. It's quite interesting. So here we are standing in the woods, just kind of taking it all in. And then I left because another older gentleman who was into photography came along. And so I felt like he wanted to be more a part of this conversation. So I said, I'll leave you to it. And I continued on walking. So this morning, when I was on social media, I just saw so much stuff that just kind of boggled my mind, that shows the distinct two different views and kind of everything in between. But there's really this the black and white. There is this people that really have a really hard view about the world, kind of a sad view, a pessimistic view, a hurtful view of the world. Hurtful is the wrong word. Jaded, as if they can't see the good in anything anymore. There's a lot of people like that. And then there's the other where people are looking through rose-colored glasses. I've been accused of that for most part, thinking that we're, yeah, it's looking horrible right now, but big change is coming, and big change means things change, and it's not the same, and you have to be able to open yourself to the ways in which it will change. So, for instance, thank you, the different housing. PM Carney is talking about the housing right now and wanting to build more homes in Canada and calling there's a different term, but prefab modular homes. And people were like, that's mobile home parks, that's trailer. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, things are different now. It's not the same anymore. I said, go Google. Look at the companies that are doing this. Look at those homes and tell me that that's a mobile home. It's not. It's not. So things are changing rather dramatically, and there's small companies involved in doing this. In BC, there's a number of companies doing it. And so what it means is a lot of it can be built on site in a plant, nice, dry, cozy plant, and then things are shipped, or not to the site, sorry. They're built in the plant, and then they're shipped to the site, and then they're assembled on the site. So already most of it's been done. The hard stuff's been done. I shouldn't say that. I don't freaking know. But I would assume the bulk of the work's been done indoors in a controlled environment, and then it gets shipped and put together on site. And you can make them anything you want. There's companies that will design something for you. So things are changing. So it's not your parents' generation anymore, and you can lament that, or you can move forward and ask what's next, what else is possible, how can the world be different in a really good way. So meanwhile, it's the world is in an uproar because literally one man, is fighting, starting a trade war with China, putting tariffs on countries around the world, literally affecting global economies. One man who has convinced the American people that this is a good thing to have tariffs, and the American people don't understand that tariffs are a tax. I can see that in posts they're going, yay, look at what he's doing. This is what I voted for. And he wants to put tariffs on pharmaceuticals. And I'm like, do you not understand what that means? Pharmaceuticals will be more expensive because the pharmaceutical company is not going to swallow that. So it gets passed down to the consumer. So that's the patient, the hospitals, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting to see how people are, and I get it because I wasn't always informed, but I didn't have the internet when I was younger, and I have the internet now, and it's pretty darn easy to find out things, to find out whether things are true or not true. And in our election, there's a lot of false information going around. There are even Canadians, a Canadian woman on the East Coast, saying that Mark Carney's wife's a transgender. She's not really female. And someone said, well, she birthed 4 children. Well, how do you know that? And I'm like, geez, this is what's happening in our world. And a lot of that is because of the license that Trump and now Poilievre, MAGAs have given people to behave from their most basest, is that the word? Instincts, from the place inside of them that normally they just, won't say it out loud. They might feel it, but now they're finding a voice because there's other people saying the same things. So they say that about Macron's wife. They say that, we were saying that about Michelle Obama. I was like, excuse me? Well, Candace Owens said that on her podcast. Oh yeah, Candace Owens, if you don't know her, you go Google it. I'm not going to bother getting into it. So this is the world we're living in now. So your part in the world is to fact check for yourself. And then, if you feel safe doing it, fact check other people. I mean, tell them, fact check them on their post. If you feel safe, fact check friends and family if you feel safe doing it. If you don't, then don't. But fact check for yourself first, so that when you speak, you're coming from a place of some basic knowledge, not just misinformation, disinformation. There's a lot of that going on. So it's increasing right now with Carney. And it's increasing primarily on Carney because he's got a bit of a lead, and the Conservatives are grappling a little bit. And some listening to this may say, well, that's not true. Poilievre has gained some ground. He's gained some ground because he's putting up liberal platforms. Cool, like that's politics, right? That's politics. But what I've noticed now, a reporter was talking to him after his last rally in Edmonton that was really well attended, is he's loving it. He is loving the attention. He was actually saying to the reporter, well, how many people do you think were here? Do you think this is the biggest crowd that's ever been at a political rally in Canada? How many people? What? And she said, well, I don't really know. And he said, well, you've been around long enough. And he's smiling. He's happy. He's a happy camper. He is not being dismissive, which he normally is with reporters. He's not pushing against her. He's like high on that adrenaline of coming off a stage with all those people cheering him on. So I'm like, who does this remind me of? It reminds me of Trump. So, and then Carney's very much more, he's a little bit boring. I find him extremely interesting. But in terms of rallies, perhaps, in terms of interviews, he's a little bit long-winded because he wants to explain things to people. He doesn't have quick, easy answers. There is no quick, easy answers. He's very thoughtful because he's been thinking about this for a little while. So there's that. So here I sit in my home after a really nice long walk, which was fun. And I'm on here with you. So if you are watching this, feel free to ask me a question. I'm going to pull a card. What am I going to pull a card on? What do you guys want to know about? I'm going to start with just a card. So Trump had put these huge tariffs on. Stock market just went. And then he's paused the tariffs for 90 days, and the stock market went. The U.S. Treasury bonds are being sold. Hedge funds are selling the U.S. Treasury bonds. Their Treasury bonds are normally a pretty stable investment. You know, governments, countries invest in Treasury bonds because there's generally a safe bet in U.S. Treasury bonds or Canadian bonds. So, but when you have hedge funds selling off the Treasury bonds, you're thinking like, what, like. Because what doesn't the market like? Instability. And Trump is created a lot of instability. So now apparently he's paused it for 90 days. And now I've just seen where he's increased the tariffs against China even more. So just China. So who's going to blink first? Who will blink first? This is going to be really interesting. He's backed off from everyone else a little bit. And now he's focusing on China. And he sees himself as this big deal maker. And he's bragging about all these countries coming to him, calling him, wanting to come and negotiate and make deals. And they're not all, you know. He can say what he wants. I imagine that a lot of countries are taking their time and they're being thoughtful about their approach to this, because they can't count on anything he says. So with Carney knows this. And so he's focused on Canada. He's focused on Canada's relationships with, I keep coming back to Carney, sorry guys, Canada's relationships with our allies and trading partners. And when this first started happening, what he said in a news conference was that he'd spent the last 48 hours on the phone. He'd been talking with the finance minister and the governor of the Bank of Canada, and all of our trading, our partners and our allies, because everyone's making plans because they cannot count on Trump. So that's fine. Canada, he said, our institutions are stable, are solid and stable. And he has belief in the the Canadian people. The Americans, on the other hand, don't know whether they're coming or going because Trump doesn't know whether he's coming or going. Maybe he has some crazy plan that's going to work out. Maybe he knows what he's doing, but he has people who are advising him that perhaps shouldn't be advising him. It's interesting. So on that, so how long will this go on? How long will it take for this to play itself out? There's a good question. How long will this take to play itself out in the U.S.? Now, they're not good at time, so, but I've heard before that, there's going to, the you-know-what is going to hit the fan, and then by September, the dust will start to settle, and then there will be a rebuilding. So make no judgments. So that card indicates to me we're not to make any judgments about what's going on right now, just to observe, to stay the steady course, if you're, I don't know, talk to your financial planner. If you trust them, decide what the steady course is for you to ensure that you're okay, you and your family are okay, and your extended family. So I guess I just answered that, because we really don't know. I don't know. You might know better than me. I don't know what this will look like as it unfolds. The American people are going to be in for a hard fall. Not the ones that voted for Trump, because right now they're fooling themselves terribly. They're fooling themselves terribly, and when it starts to hit their pocketbooks, then unless Congress finds a way to solve this, to figure it out, to negate what he's doing, I don't know. And that's it. The energy, is there any one strong energy pattern in this? And I'm hearing no, there isn't, because it's so fluid right now. And I'm hearing that by July, things will be headed in a direction that's clear. So I don't know. I don't normally make predictions. There you go. Like that. So Canada, though, how is Canada going to fare in this? And I feel very light when I ask this. I feel very light, like Canada's faring very well, because Canada's finding itself in a new way that it never found itself in before. And if we are so fortunate to have Mark Carney as our Prime Minister, Canada stands a chance to really, really step up its game in a way, be very, he's got a big vision, and we will be very, very prosperous. Now, he will do it in a different way. Poilievre has his plans, and some of them are very similar to Carney's, but he's not concerned about the environment as much. He's not concerned about Indigenous rights. He will just do what he needs to do to get pipelines built, and no matter what land they go across, what the Indigenous people say, what the environmentalists will say, he really does not care one way or another. He just wants them. But again, this could just be his political spiel to get the votes, though I think he believes it, because that's who he is. So with Poilievre, to me, he has said so much, he's voted all his actions and indicated who he is, and unless the tiger changes its stripes, I don't really believe what he's saying anymore. Though I'm happy that he's happy with all the attention he's getting. It's funny. I am. I'm kind of happy. And he's in for a hard fall, really hard fall if he doesn't get in, because the Conservatives will quickly get rid of him as a leader. There'll be a vote of no confidence. And will that happen? I don't know. So what? And I've got the card rejuvenate. So what does this mean? As a man sitting on the fountain, and there's the water, and there's fish, and there's birds, and like, and it's just a scene that feels very fresh. Rejuvenate. So what does that mean? It's it's a chance for both parties to rejuvenate their their political platforms. I'm hearing it's a chance to start afresh, both conservative and liberal and NDP. It's a chance to look at what has been done well and what hasn't been done well. And like, this feels so good. It feels so good saying this. It's like, that's the opportunity that's facing Canada. So I'm hearing, regardless of who gets in, this is what's going to be happening. There will be a big, because if, I want to say if, and I can't even say if he gets, Poilievre get, I don't even want to say it. I'm just being stopped from saying it. So make of that what you will. It feels like yucky. So does that mean he's getting in? I'd like to think it means he's not. The energy's very heavy around it. But yet, no matter who gets in, the parties are going to have to review and revise their political platforms and how they convey to the Canadian public in a way that makes sense to get them on board with the big changes that are going to happen, and be rah-rah about it, and so that we can be united as a country, right? So, which is what the blessing is with Trump doing his thing about the 51st straight. If anyone can keep us away from that, I believe it's Carney. And is that true? So let's see. So refine your attention. So, oh, thank you. So Carney is single-minded in getting Canada prosperous. He's single-minded in this prime minister business. And I'm hearing he doesn't want to do it forever. I feel like he's going to do his 4 years, and then he will hand it off to someone else. That's my feeling with that. So he's refining, so refine your attention. So we've all got that opportunity to do that, right? What will we focus on in our own lives, and on what we ingest in social media, who we listen to, which friends we pay attention to. When they show you who they are, believe it. Don't go but, or I can't believe that. When they show you who they are, believe it. and I'm supposed to say that again. When they show you who they are, believe it. And they show you who they are through their voting, what they voted for, what they voted against, what they're for, what they're against. Tigers don't change their stripes. Carney might be boring, but he's got expertise. And I get work with devotion. That's what he will do. He will work with devotion. His kids aren't young. He doesn't matter. If he's, how his wife's got a career of her own. She's in her own right quite the powerhouse. So he can work with devotion for Canada. There will be nothing to distract him from that. No family responsibilities, not the strong pull of like wives not happy that you aren't home, not the strong pull of kids not being happy that you aren't home, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. So there you go. And I'm going to leave it there. I am going to leave, well, I can't. There's one card here facing up, and I'm going to do it, face your adversaries. And that's what Carney's up again, is Trump. But he's up for it because he's smart. And Trump is really kind of cowed a little bit by smart, intelligent men that are quiet and thoughtful. Trump talks a big game, but he has some respect for people like that, despite what he says. So Carney's going to be facing all the adversaries out there, including within the country, and he's going to prove that Canada is as good as he thinks it is, and it's going to be really, really good. So I'm going to leave that alone for now. Meanwhile, it's Tuesday, and is there one other thing just for you, for whoever's watching? This is just for you to take personally in your life. Just one thing that you need to feel inspired and hopeful and joyful. Revive the dormant. So think about that. We're in spring right now, where all the buds are starting to come up, the flowers are starting to, all the spring. Everything's being revived. Revive the dormant in your life. What have you let fall away that makes you happy, that fills your heart up with joy, that makes you sing and dance? What have you allowed to fall away? And isn't it time to revive that and bring that back into your life so that you can have a really great spring and summer? How about that? Yeah, okay. So I'm out of here. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk again. Bye-bye.